All right, guys. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Results Loading podcast hosted by Prosperous AI. I'm your host, Michael Atkin, and today we have the privilege of speaking with a true trailblazer in the world of supply chain management. Our guest, Francisco Ponde, is a results-driven supply chain executive with over 20 years of experience transforming operations across Latin America and North America. Currently serving as the supply chain director for Grupo Tigre's US operations. Francisco has a proven track record of delivering operational excellence by implementing advanced technologies, optimizing inventory, and streamlining logistics processes. Whether you're navigating complex supply chain challenges, exploring the integration of cutting edge technologies, or simply looking to understand how to build more efficient operations, Francisco's insights are going to leave you inspired, and I would imagine you're going to come away with a little bit more knowledge than you had before. At this point, I will stop talking. I will throw it over to Francisco. With all that being said, Francisco, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today, my friend.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Michael, for the invitation, for the kind introduction also. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And well, yes, I am really fortunate to have been working in different industries and different countries, no? And well, excited to share some of these insights with your people.
Yeah, both of our people, both, whoever's listening, my network, your network, everyone and anyone in between. I think there will be some valuable takeaways here. So I'm looking forward to getting going. So, Francisco, thanks again. With all that being said, and as I mentioned, you've built an impressive career leading supply chain operations across multiple countries and multiple industries. What initially drew you to the supply chain management? And how has your perspective on the industry evolved over the past 20 years that you've been doing this?
Okay, well, I studied industrial engineering, okay, back in Argentina. So it's a pretty complete university or bachelor's career. And well, finishing that career, I wanted to work in big companies, no? And I think I was very lucky at the beginning to start working in the retail industry, no, in the big box retailers, first in one of them in Argentina, and then continue developing my career in Walmart in different countries. So I think starting with retail gave me a lot of dynamic environment where you can learn a lot when everything happens very quickly, very fast, and changes happen all the time. And one of the things that was really important in that moment is that I understood that how essential is to have an efficient supply chain in order to success in the business. No, probably logistics and supply chain is core thing inside the retail. No, and it's really key in order to make that business success. And the other question, no, like the evolving of this area. No, I think in these 20-25 years, I think supply chain evolved a lot. Probably 20 years ago, it was pretty much more operational, no, and it went through year by year, decade by decade, going from operational to highly strategic. No, today, for every company, probably from every industry, it's considered a strategic area. And leveraging a lot of data technology to drive decisions, and really a key area in order to achieve customer success, no, customer satisfaction. So I think the field evolved a little bit in that way, no, from operational to highly strategic.
Completely. And before we dive any deeper, Francisco, are you able to kind of walk us through what Tigre USA does and what you guys are striving to accomplish right now with your current day to day?
Okay. Well, Tigre is a multinational company, okay, with big presence in South America and North America, okay. And obviously, well, the company makes plastics tubes and fittings construction materials. And probably the big challenge that we are facing in the last years is related to really evolve and continue improving our customer service. Like the customers are every year more aggressive and wanting to get the merchandise probably in the same day. Maybe a couple of years ago, delivering in 3-4 days was really great. Now you have to deliver in 24, maximum 48 hours, and you have to do it efficiently, with high fill rate levels, with no claims in the orders, with a lot of technology and information associated with that. We digitalize all the customer journey across everything related with the order to cash process. So I think the main challenges there were related with that, to getting more technology, order to cash accessibility and information to the customers, and delivering every year faster.
Fantastic. And I do wonder, I have a lot of supply chain directors on the Results Loading podcast, and a lot of them have an engineering background, such as yourself. Why do you think that is? I mean, what is it about engineers seemingly seeking out that supply chain director role? I mean, talk to us a little bit more and bring this down to earth for us. How the skills and the engineering mind, if you will, obviously we know engineers' minds very calculated, very planned, very efficient. Is that the reason why engineers make great supply chain directors? Talk to us a little bit about that relationship between the engineering education as well as the association to supply chain management and optimization.
Okay, I think some of it evolved a little bit also in that answer. I think probably our background in terms of process knowledge, process improvement, technology, learning, maybe some years ago that was more important maybe than people management, okay, or leadership. I think that evolved a lot. Today, I think maybe there are a lot of engineers in the function, but I think it's more about people today, and relationships and teamwork and collaboration between the areas, and with suppliers and with customers, okay, aligning all the value chain. I think it's more about that, the key factor in order to success in this area, more than process and technology today. So I think maybe in the past was more important to be have an engineer background. I think today is more important about people. So I don't discard that maybe in some years we can have, I don't know, a psychologist being successful in supply chain, or a human resource manager being successful in supply chain. I think is key to integrate all the pieces of the company, and today also integrate the suppliers and the customers, in process improvement, in technology implementation. So I think we are going there.
Yeah, and it's a great point. It's always about the people. How are you leveraging the skills of the people that you have? Obviously, you being in a director, decision maker role and a leader, the engineering background is definitely helpful in terms of how you make strategic decisions. You're kind of trained to be calculated, which is obviously a huge requirement in supply chain management, and optimizing your supply chain to make sure, like you said, 3 to 4 days no longer is good enough. Now it needs to be 24 to 48 hours. There's a common theme here, right? There's a common denominator in terms of what success looks like, especially for you and what you're trying to achieve. But I really appreciate and agree with you about what you said pertaining to the people. You don't have to have an engineering background or all the, it's just how are we leveraging the skills of the people that you have on your team to make this work and to be successful, no matter, what your background is. How can you, as the director, make sure that things are optimized to the fullest extent? and make things happen with the team that you currently have on hand, right?
Yeah, totally agree.
So, with that being said, like leading cross-functional teams in such dynamic environments requires strong leadership on your end, as we just discussed. How are you fostering that collaboration and keeping teams aligned with those strategic goals? We touched on just now, obviously, the people. How are you fostering that element of collaboration and making sure everybody's on the same page?
Okay, well, leadership, I think, is all about empowering teams, no? And that obviously you need to do it with really clear goals and tools to be able to succeed. No, you have to give tools to the teams in order to succeed working together. No, so I think maybe probably very good example of cross-functional process is related with sales and operation planning or sales and operation execution. Those are processes that, generally speaking, all the companies, they are lead by supply chain area, no? And I think that is an excellent example of how to obtain success throughout the teamwork and collaboration between the areas, keeping everybody aligned and connected with the same goals, no? And having a very frequently communication flowing uh, within all the layers of the organization. No, I think is the only way in order to really develop these cross-functional S&OP processes in order to really be able to continue cut off order cycle times, no, to continue improve your on-time in full results, and obviously also improving your working capital, no, continue reducing your inventory levels, being efficient in the cost of manufacturing and of moving your products is the only way to obviously have an excellent customer service, but at the same time giving profit to the company, no? So I think that is pretty much key, and that's what we've been working not only in Grupo Tigre but also in Virutex and in Walmart that were my previous experience, no?
Totally. No, I completely agree. And I want to follow up that question with times of, adversity, challenging times, critical moments, which, as you kind of just broke down for us, you're no stranger to, because you've led supply chain operations during critical moments, including the integration of companies and navigating the COVID-19 pandemic, for example. What about key leadership lessons that you've learned during these challenging periods specifically? Obviously, a much different environment than when everyone is on the ground floor, boots on the ground, all good. When there's not, something happening that's out of your control. I mean, how is overcoming those difficult times and challenges when you've been forced to lead? How have those lessons really impacted the way that you go about being a leader?
Okay. Well, the pandemic was really a changeover, no? Like one way to work before and then another different way to work after and during the pandemic. I think it was a big learning for everybody of us in different areas and in different moments of our lives. No, I think in terms of pretty supply chain specifically, it was the pandemic reinforced the importance of agility, no, of really being able to change the plans or the way the things were heading in really a very short period of time. No, I am remembering now when the pandemic hit our business. First month, our sales went down below 50% of what we were selling. No, so
Right.
it was really a difficult moment. We really wanted to be care about our people. No, so we really need to move on in a restructuring uh, uh, action plan at the first moment. We really understood that in order to be not so critical in terms of restructuring, we decided to reduce the salary of everybody, okay, in order to try to maintain our force in place. And then after 3 months, we started the opposite way, no? Like we put in place really quick protocols, COVID protocols everywhere in order to keep on our operational ongoing business. And then 3 months after that, we really were exceeding our previous sales, no? And then we had 2021 was the best year of the history of the company, more than 8 years of history of the company, and 2021 was the record of the history of the company in terms of top line, and 2022 was better than 2021, no? So it was 2 years of record over record. From the adjustment that we did, restructuring that we did, we went through in only 3 months to exceed our sales, developing new suppliers for raw material because it wasn't a raw material in any part of the world. So we worked with only 2 suppliers. We went to 6 suppliers in our supplier database, no, and we keep on today working with 6 or 7 suppliers, no, because that agility, that flexibility, that resilience of the supply chain came in to be continuously there, no. So we have to be prepared for different scenarios that can hit you in every moment. So you have to be prepared. Now, I think that was the big learning of the pandemic, and that obviously got us to be prepared to pivot quickly and use data effectively and move forward. Not only be prepared for plan A, plan B, plan C, but also for executing those plans really fast.
So you were able to take a situation like the pandemic, and as we all recall, and you know this as good as anybody, the ports were completely closed. There weren't enough employees. People were sick. I mean, we couldn't get the goods that were being shipped in from overseas into the States. It created huge lead time delays, huge supply chain issues. But because you had already put in place a resilient supply chain, instead of the 2 vendors you had 6, 7, 8 different vendors. You were able to overcome it, especially in 2022, 2023, when sales skyrocketed. Obviously, 2020 was terrible for everybody, no matter how you look at it. You're saying that a resilient supply chain was directly correlated to the immense amount of success you had in terms of your sales and revenues after the pandemic because you had flexibility, you had resilience, you weren't relying on 1 or 2 vendors like you had previously to get supplies to you, so you guys could go and do your thing, manufacture, distribute, what have you. It's like, okay, you guys can't get product to us, no problem. We have 4 or 5 other options essentially, and that is directly associated with why 21, 22, 23 were such huge years for Tigre.
Yes, totally agree. I would say also that Grupo Tigre has a strategy of having manufacturing plants almost in every country that we operate. No, so that like local availability of products was a little bit part of the strategy before the pandemic. Okay, like to be able to react and attend faster to our customers. That was maybe a little bit one of our advantages previous to the pandemic come, okay? But with the pandemic, we, as I told you, we forced to develop more alternative suppliers for raw materials. And also we decided to be a little bit more conservative in our inventory levels, no? Like we were hitting lower and lower inventory levels year by year, 10% reduction, 15% reductions, being more efficient in our internal processes. But we understood that maybe that 10% in this moment is not so important as to be able to have some gap there, no, in terms of availability of inventory in order to really be prepared for an unpredictable sale or trend that can be happening in a particular market, no?
That's not planned for. Exactly. That it's impossible to plan for, of course, such as a pandemic, or I'm sure you remember when the Suez Canal got blocked for like, what was it, 4 weeks or something like that. I mean, you can't plan for these things. But with a resilient supply chain, you may have better options than a company that relies on like one vendor and all the materials are coming out of one country, right? So, so Grupo Tigre is manufacturing in most countries around the world. Is that what you mentioned earlier?
Yes.
But you guys are only getting raw materials and components from 6 to 7 vendors that are obviously scattered around the world as well, correct? Was
Yes,
that all,
correct.
was that all set up by you? Was that you and your team who set this up? I mean, I know you mentioned you had you played a big role in optimizing the resilience of the supply chain, but is this all set up by you and your team directly, or is this something you inherited coming into Grupo Tigre, or where do we stand on that?
Well, we work together with our procurement team. Okay, procurement team is part of our finance area. Okay, in Grupo Tigre, that is the way we are structured internally. So we worked pair to pair with procurement. No, they are focused on the negotiation of the prices with our suppliers, and we are focused in supply chain with all the ordering, no, the quantities and the timing of the orders coming. No, so we work together, knowing that we had an opportunity there in terms of bigger lead times, no, during and after pandemic. So we work together, sourcing, identifying new suppliers everywhere in the world. No, like from USA was at the beginning, but then we went until to Egypt to develop a resin supplier. No, for example. So we sourced all around the world, and obviously we also understood this ideal inventory position. No, like working maybe with 1 week was too aggressive. So we passed through, and it was 1 week with local supplier, no, sourcing us. So we went to between 2 or 3 weeks of inventory position, and not only supplying 100% from the US, no, today is 30% from the US, 70% from all around the world, hitting our 2 3 weeks of inventory. No, speaking about raw materials, this is exclusively speaking about raw materials, but our matrix changed 100% pre and post pandemic in that way.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, the pandemic, believe it or not, did a lot of good for some businesses. It was obviously, I don't want to make light of the pandemic under any circumstances, but from an economic and financial business side, it did help optimize a lot of businesses in terms of demand and needs and driving revenue, of course, as well. So, not surprised to hear that at all. And Francisco, speaking of inventory optimization, I know you touched on this briefly earlier, but as you know, core part of supply chain process, don't need to explain that to you, obviously. But can you dive a little bit deeper into how you're balancing reducing inventory levels with maintaining that high service level and customer satisfaction? I know you kind of touched on it earlier, flip-flopping back and forth. Do we reduce it by 10%? Do we maintain a little, 10, 12% of inventory on hand just in case? How are you balancing that now that we're in 2025? Things seem pretty balanced at the moment, but I'll defer to you and how you're managing that these days. Not much going on.
Okay, okay. Well, I can say that as I told you, I started with retail, then I moved to fast moving consuming goods, and now I'm in the construction materials industry. No, always in the three industries, service level and customer satisfaction was always key and is always key, and it was always non-negotiable. Okay,
Yeah.
we can't negotiate the customer service and the service levels. So I would say like Probably at the beginning in the Walmart, in my Walmart experience, I can say that we had a very high on-shelf availability, over 97, 98% of the products on the shelf for the customers. And we keep on having that, and obviously working through with supplier collaboration, forecasting replenishment, alignment with our suppliers, understanding better our customers, improving our forecast accuracy, helped us go on reducing that inventory levels at the stores in order to be more efficient in that inventory flow. Okay, then moving forward to Biotech, that was fast-moving consuming goods company with big presence in South America and Central America. That company always had a very high fill rate and service level to other customers, but it was operating in that moment with a high inefficiency, no? With very high inventory levels. So I think that really high working capital wasn't allowing the company to have money to invest in the growth of the company. No, I was 5 years in that company, and in those 5 years, we duplicated the size of the company, no, and triplicated the rentability, the profit of the company. So having availability of money to invest in developing new categories, in increasing the sales in the different channels was really key. So reducing the inventory levels about 30% was key in order to have more availability or more capital in order to expense that in terms of being able to grow, no, to invest in order to grow the company. And now in these days in Grupo Tigre, we spoke a little bit about the critical pillar related with service levels. I think that was really key to implement a strong S&OP process. I think that was the key process that helped us reduce a little bit our inventory levels, but mainly helped us really to achieve fill rate levels over 95%, and being able to reduce our order cycle time from 4 days to 1.5 days. We are
Wow.
serving our customers in that level today. And well, a little bit, we are also measuring NPS, no, Net Promoter Score, like asking our customers how was their experience, or how is their experience with us. And that NPS is showing us, no, that hitting from 4 to 1.5 days was key to really get the NPS over 65, over 75 points in that score, when maybe 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, we were hitting 40. No? So we
Sure.
practically doubled that customer satisfaction with that on order cycle time reduction. And the way that we did it is with really connecting the areas, implementing new technology, and improving our sales and operation planning process in order to really be able to achieve that high customer service levels results.
Yeah, no, you're moving with speed and you're moving with efficiency. And it's, for a company like Grupo Tigre, what else do your customers really want? Speed, efficiency, deliveries on time, the supply chain is optimized, and we're checking all the boxes here essentially, right? Especially when you're talking about like even in greater depth, the NPS score, stuff like that, customer satisfaction levels. I mean, that's huge. A lot of companies, as you know, take some decades to get to that point. So it seems like you guys have really found that bread and butter, leveraging and investing in the right areas to help optimize your business to be as efficient, productive as possible. It sounds like you guys have nailed it.
Yeah, it was a key, no? It was a key factor of our value proposition for our customers. So I think that alignment in all the organization, no, within all the areas, I think it was also very important, no, because every leader of every area was aligned in terms of the importance to put in place a robust process related with this, no. So I think that was really helpful for us, no, that we were leading this process internally.
Absolutely. And earlier, Francisco, you had mentioned technology, and as you know, continues to reshape supply chain management. What emerging technologies or trends do you believe have the most potential to revolutionize the industry and how we're managing it?
Okay, well, I think that is really changing, no, and having evolution every month. Every month we have new technologies, new solutions. Is really happening everything very fast, and every company is being able to access to different type of solutions and with different budgets, no? So there is solutions for every size of the company and every necessity practically every day. I think artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things. I think every month, every quarter, we're having new solutions for or everything related with that. I think it's transforming the supply chain visibility and the decision making everywhere, no? And I think, well, probably in the last, I don't know, in the last 2 years, probably some things that come to my mind right now is how we went to digitalizing all the order to cash process. We spoke about a little bit that it helped us reduce our order cycle probably more than 20-30%, improve our customer satisfaction NPS, a lot related with online traceability information with easy access to the customers, and it was pretty well received by all of them. Some other tools related with AI, probably we went through improving our routing algorithm solution to increase our transport utilization for more than 10%. We reduced more than 10% our freight costs without any impact in the customer service. This was done with a collaborative effort between ourselves and our TMS supplier. No, it's a startup that we went through and really developed together. The solution was pretty standard, but we needed a customization for our really we are with our reality in terms of moving tubes and fittings. The pipes are not so usual products, a standard product. We have tubes of 3, 6, 9 meters, so it's not something common. And we developed with them a pretty great new algorithm that could think putting smaller diameters pipes inside bigger pipes, no? So that went through and really within the algorithm, within the automatic solution, allowed us to fill our trucks more than 10% more volume there, more product there, and that's why we reduced more than 10% the occupation of our trucks, and that went through the freight reduction cost. Also, we implemented an automatic solution for improving our scheduling of the trucks in our warehouses. That was done in every one of our countries also. And that was machine learning. No, every day we loaded in our systems all the scheduling and all the time that we took to load every truck. No, so this machine learning tool, what the tool did was understand the mix of products that went into and the volumes that went into every truck. So according to the mix, the tool get on knowing and understanding the time that you need depending on the mix of the products. So in that way, we were able, learning with this machine, to schedule pretty much more the exact time that each truck had to arrive and had to get the time loading in our facilities, no? So it was really something that also helped us to reduce the truck time or permanence in our factories. We reduced more than 20%, and obviously impacted in our freight costs also about 5%. And well, I think probably last example, forecasting tools, the forecast accuracy of the company, not only to Grupo Tigre, but before in Virotex, we increased the forecast accuracy more than 15%, implementing new tools and new small startup tools that really are standard, but can flexibilize and can adapt and be prepared to your type of business, and go on learning new formulas and new statistical ways in order to improve the forecast accuracy, and in order for you to be more precise forecasting your demand. And obviously in that way is a very important input for your S&OP process in order to have better inventory availability and obviously be able to serve your customers in a better way, no?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just want to say, that's tremendous that you've been able to leverage technologies and not just optimize your processes, but see value-driven results. I mean, and the data to back it up, right? I mean, some companies, they can throw as many dollars as they want at new technologies, new processes, but unless you actually see the results, saving 10% here, 15% more efficient here, I mean, that's huge. That really adds up after a while, and that all comes from, your area, your corner of the office in terms of the supply chain, can make a huge impact on the company's bottom line. And so the fact that you've been able to leverage these tools and technologies, but also see the actual result is, something you don't hear about as often. A lot of times it takes a while to ramp these tools up, see some results. It sounds like, this was pretty plug and play for you guys, and it was a perfect fit to really, really see those, the value that you were looking to see out of leveraging the tools and technologies that are available only as of recently, right? And as you mentioned, I think the operations umbrella as a whole and supply chain for sure is one of the industries that is really, really buttered up for a technology innovation, almost a revolution, with strategic decision making, predictability. Maybe a storm is coming and it's going to hit the Northeast and it's going to affect all those supply chain routes. We need to move this inventory over to the Midwest and get it out of the way because it's going to affect our supply chain by, 40%, for example. Those types of insights and being able to have those insights in your ear to make strategic decisions and save you all that money on the lost cost because of the added lead times from a storm or something like that, it can be hugely valuable. So I'm happy to hear that you've been able to leverage a lot of the tools available and actually see a solid result.
Yeah. Now that you are mentioning that, maybe weather catastrophes, no, and something that can happen from one day to the other. One thing that we also developed in our inventory policy strategy, no, we developed and really defined a primary and secondary warehouse in order to be able to supply all our customers. No, maybe previously we worked only with one, and if that warehouse didn't have the inventory, well, wait for it, customer, wait for it. It was maybe that the strategy. Now we have, like, in our inventory policy strategy, the primary that obviously is the one besides or near the customer, but we have the secondary warehouse strategy. No, so if we don't have that inventory, we don't wait for that inventory. We execute from the secondary in order for the customer to have that product in 24, 48 hours. No, that probably is one of the examples. And then when you spoke about, no, we and I get some examples of the technology implementation And obviously, mid-sized company, you see more uh, impact numbers, not 10, 20%. Maybe when we speak about Walmart numbers, is 1, 2, or 3% because of the size of the company, and the mature that you have there, the excellency that you have in the processes. Maybe in mid-size or small-size companies, you are more used to impact by 10, 20, or 30%, no? But I think one of the important takeaways that I would like to share with you, why we were successful implementing these startup tools or technology. One of the things that we did is a pretty important assessment, no? In first place, understanding for our need which would be the best technology or the best supplier in order to work with us, and we took some time there, no? And there we also understood that today there are a lot of companies that are being able to make small pilots with you, tests, no? And maybe they don't charge you. And we have big businesses in some countries, small businesses in others. So as we are working in several businesses within South and North America, we are able to test, no, and to do a small pilot, maybe free, with a small business, and try to understand if that technology, if that solution can be suitable for us, no? And also the supplier can understand if we are a good customer for him, no? So I think that was key in order to really be able to understand the ideal solution for us and really impact in 1 year or less than 1 year that really important results, no, numbers.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. And speaking of adaptability, switching gears a little bit, you've managed supply chain operations across pretty much the world, several continents worth at least. What differences have you noticed in supply chain practices between, say, Latin America, North America, et cetera, and how have you adopted your strategies accordingly?
Okay, okay. Well, I think Latin America uh, generally or often requires innovative solutions, no, due to infrastructure gaps. Uh, you have some bigger gaps in terms of infrastructure that you have to solve versus North America, no? And also in South America and in Latin America, I think you you usually have to have several alternative plans in place, no? Because in most of those countries, the regulations, the government laws may change in a short period of time. So you have to be prepared for that. Instability, maybe, in some countries more than others, but generally speaking, you have more uncertainty there versus North America. And on the other hand, in North America, you have really the opportunity of automatization and scale. No, usually all related with automatization projects are more attractive from a payback perspective in the USA because you have higher labor costs, because generally speaking, you have big volume, big market to serve. So I think obviously the payback is maybe less than 1 year, and the same solution in Latin America maybe is 3 or 4 years. So I think those are maybe the big difference that I will say, and I think today adaptability is key everywhere. No, I would say maybe adaptability some years ago it was more relevant in Latin America. I think adaptability now is key everywhere. Not only in Latin America, North America, but also in Europe, Africa,
Right, across the
Asia,
globe.
everywhere,
Yeah.
no?
Yeah, absolutely. No, and what great experience for you to be able to see the differences, working in North America, Latin America, Europe, and there's all kind of a unique sense of operational processes that you've been able to identify, then leading you to help make strategic decisions based on where you're geographically located. I mean, I feel like that experience is invaluable, especially for you who've kind of worked all over the globe, understand how different supply chains work based on where you are, based on when inventory is coming from, et cetera. I think, that's got to be hugely valuable to you who's, in the role that you're in currently, especially with Grupo Tigre being an international company as well, being familiar with how different supply chains work across the globe when you have materials and components coming in from all over the place. It's got to be huge for you.
Yes, yes. And I would say like Grupo Tigre started being a Brazilian company, started in Latin America and then continue expanding there until arriving to the USA, no? So I think like probably the biggest learning getting to enter a huge market that like the USA, it was related with also the customer expectation, no? Like in the USA, you have to be really efficient in order to work and to compete in this market, no? Maybe in Latin America, you can have a good a recognized brand, and that can help you a little bit to cover any inefficiencies. In North America, you have to play, you are playing in the high leagues, no? You have to be efficient in order to be really competitive in this market.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Francisco. And last question for you. If you could share one piece of advice with emerging supply chain leaders looking to make an impact similar to the impact that you've made and the knowledge that you have, what would it be?
Well, I think to be successful in supply chain, we spoke a little bit about now. No, I think you need to be able to collaborate with suppliers, with customers, with practically all the areas of the company. So I think teamwork, alignment, and communication are key aspects and skills to develop. No, I think supply chain is more about people than process and technology. We also spoke about that, no? And I think it's really relevant to be curious, be adaptable, be flexible, and be collaborative in order to success. I think there would be my small advice, no, for emerging leaders to be able to be successful in this area.
Fantastic. Well, Francisco, with all of that being said, congrats on all the success. Obviously, you guys are absolutely killing it in terms of the supply chain optimization and the resilience. Really, really impressive. Not to mention the leveraging of tools and technologies, ensuring that your communication with vendors and suppliers are top notch. You're definitely someone that those looking to get in supply chain should be following. And I wish you the best of luck. Congrats on all the success, and thanks so much for sharing some of these insights with us on the Results Loading podcast. I've really enjoyed this one.
Okay, well, Michael, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. It was really, really nice to spend this time together and learn a lot of things. And well, hopefully we'll see each other
Yeah,
someday, you know?
yeah, maybe in about a year or something, I'll have you back on the podcast and we can check in and see how things are going. See if you've learned any even more this year that you can share with us, and we can do a Francisco Ponde round 2 episode.
Okay, okay, very nice. Looking forward for that.
Me too. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much.